What's going on, beautiful people? I am here to debunk a lot of work at home job myths, scams, and all that stuff to sort of kind of let you guys know what to look out for when you are applying to work from home, and to give you a little bit of insight on how to make money working from home. And working from home can be such a huge blessing. You can be at home with your family, you can save a lot of money, and you can also make a lot of money working from home if you do it right. And first and foremost, before we get into this video, I'm not really sure how long it's going to be, but first and foremost, before we get into this video, I do want to encourage each and every one of you guys who are interested in legitimate work at home jobs. Notice I said legitimate work at home jobs. Head on over to Facebook to like the legitimate work at home job page. I will leave that link down in the description box for you guys to go over and hit like on that page. I share jobs over there on a daily basis, or at least a weekly over there on work at home job leads. Some of them are location based, some of them are worldwide, some of them are countrywide. So head on over there for daily work at home job leads, legitimate work at home job leads. I will leave that link down in the description box down below. Okay, so first and foremost, I will share with you a couple of tips and tricks on how to land some legitimate work at home jobs, and I'm going to share today with you some scams that you need to look out for when you are applying to work at home jobs. Because since I started that legitimate work at home job page, I get so many messages from people asking me how they, know what's a scam and what's not a scam. And I've done a video on this before, but I understand that a lot of people are just now joining me, so they have not seen that video. So I decided to come back and give you guys a little bit of a lowdown on how to spot work at home job scams. Now, I do want to reference anything that I share with you. I have done the research on, and it is a legitimate work at home job. Now, if I just so happen to share something and you find out it's scammy, but I'm pretty sure 99.99% of everything that I share with you is 100% legitimate, and there are people currently working for these companies or have worked for these companies that I know, either from networking or working from home and knowing people, or actually know in my personal life that work for these companies. Okay, so keep that in mind. But I also want to let you guys know, this is one of the main problems that a lot of people who work from home have. They ask so many questions, and I understand if you don't work from home, you really want a little bit of insight from someone who currently works from home, so you really don't have a whole lot of knowledge on it. But I promise you, Google is always your best friend. Anybody who works from home will tell you this. Anybody, they will tell you this. I can give you all of the information in the world, but it is still up to you to do your own research on it, okay? That's one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't successful working from home, because they want people to, like me, for example. I share with you guys everything that I find on the internet as far as it being a legitimate work at home job. But at the end of the day, it takes you to do a little bit of research yourself. You should want to research it a little bit yourself before you go and apply for it. Even though I tell you it's a legitimate work at home job, you need to still do some research yourself. And that's one of the main reasons why a lot of people fail. They want people to give them all the information without doing a tiny bit of research themselves. Because let me tell you guys, I tell you guys this all the time. The best website for you to go to work from home is workplacelikehome.com. 100% one of the best online job boards for work at home jobs. Everybody on that site is a person who, well, let me put it like this. That is a site that you can go to and search for any work at home job out there. Somebody on that site has worked for that company or is currently working for that company. Anything that you want to know, more than likely 99.9% is on that website. It is thousands and thousands of people who currently work from home who are members of workplacelikehome.com. I know a lot of people tell me they go over there and they don't really know what to do, but I promise you, it just takes a little bit of effort to go over there. Workplacelikehome.com ain't no different than Facebook or anything like that. It is a work at home online job board for people who work from home, and they have work at home job discussions over there. They also share daily job leads over there. That is where I landed my first work at home job, okay? That is where I landed my very first work at home job. Let me keep that in mind, okay? I had never worked at home before. I had been applying for work at home jobs for years and years and years. I've done the scam thing myself. I've actually applied for a lot of these scam jobs not knowing what to look for. And once I got on workplacelikeHome.com and I actually did my research, now you will have some people on that job board. Let me give you a little tip for those people that I'm sending to workplacelikeHome.com. Do not go over there and write in the job board where the job leads at, because people over there, they're going to get a little antsy with you, because a lot of people don't want to do any research, and everything that you need to know is on that website. I promise you, family, I cannot stress that enough. Anybody who is trying to work from home, I promise you, head over to workplacelikeHome.com. Anything that you want to know work at home wise, you will be successful over there if you put in the effort, and all you got to do is search the site. But don't go over there asking a million questions without reading first. Now, what I will say, I'm not saying don't ask questions. What I am saying is, if you go over there and you look for something and you can't find it, there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions. But if you go over there and ask a question on one of those boards, and the question is clearly answered a gazillion times on there, when all you got to do is type into the search bar of workplacelikeHome.com and it will pop up, people are going to be like, okay, they're not doing no research, so they're not even going to respond to you, because they're going to feel like you're not serious about your situation, because people aren't just going to hand you anything. If I sit there and I post a job lead, all it takes is a little bit of effort to click the link, do a little bit of research, and apply for it. That's all you have to do, okay? I get some people who want to send me a message, hell, damn near want me to apply to the job for them. Girl, look, don't do that, okay? But let me give you, I saw this on this website, and I thought it was perfect for me to come and share with you guys, especially those of you who are new to working from home, who've never worked from home before, and you want tips on learning how to spot work-at-home job scams. I'm going to give you a few tips on how to spot them, okay? If you see in the title, work at home, there's no job description, nothing. Now, there's nothing wrong with saying work at home and you click it and they're telling you about the job. But if you see an ad and all it says is work from home, there's no description, there's no nothing, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to say all the time, because sometimes there are jobs that just the title is work at home and it's 100% legitimate. But all I'm saying is, when you see something that says work at home and there's no type of description nowhere, just proceed with caution. Not telling you to not apply. All it takes, like I said, I keep referencing this. Google is your best friend. If you are skeptical about anything, whether it be something that I post, whether it be something that someone else posts, 100% do your own research. Google is your best friend. So all I'm saying is, when you see something that says work at home and there's nothing else, proceed with caution, okay? All right. The next thing is, when you see a company that's advertising no experience necessary, or no resume required, or no this or no that, anybody can apply. Look, again, proceed with caution. Now, there are several work at home jobs that you don't need experience, but most of the companies, they're not going to list no experience necessary. They'll put that you need to have some basic computer skills, or you need to be able to have and be internet savvy or something. They're going to list some type of requirement. It's not, probably won't be anything extravagant like you got to have some type of technology degree. It's not going to be that, but they'll say that you need to have internet. You need to be a little internet savvy. You need to have knowledge of Microsoft Office, Microsoft Word, things like that. It may not be anything super technical, but it's not going to necessarily say no experience necessary, although you may not need experience, but they're not going to tell you that. You kind of get what I'm saying? So again, just proceed with caution. If you see something that says no experience necessary, no resume, we don't give a damn who you are, you can give us your alias, you ain't got to give us your real name, proceed with caution, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, I'm not saying always, because there is that 1% that, you know, might not be a scam, but I'm just saying proceed with caution. When you see a company that says no experience necessary, no resume required, just proceed with caution, okay? From a company. Now, I'm not talking about survey companies, because of course, when you're taking a survey, when you're applying for a survey job, you don't need any experience for that. Or if you just on a rating site or something like that, naturally. But if you're applying for an actual job, then of course, if you see anything like this, just proceed with caution, okay? The next thing, if you are required to pay a fee, if they tell you you need to pay for training material or something like that. Again, most times, okay, I'm going to say 99.9% of the time, there is no need for you to pay for anything. Now, there are a few exceptions when it comes to fees. Okay, you do have some companies who require you to pay for your background check or your drug screen. There are some companies, again, make sure you hear me clearly. There are some companies who require you to pay for your drug screen or your background check. Because a lot of times they have people who work from home who have these long, extensive criminal records, or a person who knows they're on some type of drug. And when I say a drug test, a lot of people probably say, why you got to take a drug test if you're working from home? If you're working for people like AT&T, Comcast, and things like that, because they do have people that work at home, a lot of these upscale companies require you to take a drug test, okay? Because you are dealing with a lot of people's credit card information. Some of them also require you to have a credit check. It all depends on the company. But all I'm saying is do your research. Now, if a company asks you to pay for a drug test or a drug screen or a credit check, I would not be alarmed, because it is normal for a company to ask you to do that. It is normal. I've actually paid for a background check and a drug screen before myself. All I'm saying is if a company asks you to pay for a background check or a drug screen, just do research. All you got to do is research it. Such and such drug screen. I'm pretty sure it'll pop up where people have actually done that before, and you will clearly see that it's not a scam. Again, if a company asks you to pay a fee for a drug screen or a credit check or a background check, 9 times out of 10 it's probably not a scam, but still do a little bit of research on it. But if a company is asking you to pay for training material, or if they're asking you to pay for something that send them some money so they can send you something for training or whatever, no, that is a scam. No company is going to ask you to pay for your training material. Now, I know a lot of times some people have to pay when it comes to working for places like Arise and things like that, because they are like an affiliate or something like that. I don't know a whole lot of information on Arise. People want me to make videos on Arise all the time, but I don't have any knowledge on Arise. I've never worked for them. I don't know anyone who, well, I actually do know people who work for them, but I don't have a whole lot of information on it. So I would actually have to talk to those people to get a little bit more information on it before I can give you guys my opinion on it. But Arise is a 100% legitimate company. I do want to say that Arise is not a scam, but I just don't have a whole lot of information on Arise to share with you guys, so I can't really say a whole lot on that. But just if a company asks you to send them money for training materials or anything like that, scam, run. But if they ask you to send them money for a background check, credit check, or drug screen, most times it's legitimate, but just do a little bit of research, okay? All right, the next thing. Unbelievable pay. I can't stress this enough. I tell people this all the time. If you get a company who the title of their video says make $5,000 in a week, $500 a day, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, doing this little to no work, look, if it sounds too good to be true, like the old saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 it probably is. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some work-at-home job companies that you can make $500 a week, $800 a week, sometimes even $1,000 a week, depending on what job it is. Like some people work for Apple doing the chat customer service, or some people just work for Apple on the phone. Those people make almost $1,000 a week. Sometimes it depends on what department they're in and how long they've been working for the company. But those people that work for Apple and places like that, they make a lot of money. Also, the people that work for Comcast, AT&T, depending on how many hours they work, they make, probably $400 or $500 a week, which is average for working from home, depending on if you have a full-time job, okay? But if you see something that says make $5,000 a week, make $20,000 a month, little to no work, 9 times out of 10, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So again, proceed with caution when you see stuff like that. But whenever I see something that says make $5,000 a week, more often than not, I don't even click on that type of stuff, because more times than not, it's actually a scam. Okay, so the next thing is, like I said, no job description. I've already covered that before. As far as work at home, in the job title, and no type of job description. You don't need no experience. Just send me an email. Stuff like that is more than likely a scam. There's no need for a company to just type. Now, you do have, let me say this. You do have some companies that will put the job description, but it will not tell you, like, if you're going to be working for, I'm just going to say Comcast, if you're going to be working for AT&T, they will not put that distributor's name in the job description, but they will tell you what you will be doing, answering phone calls, doing things like that. But a lot of these companies won't tell you the actual company until they actually do, you have the interview with them. But they will have a job description. And most times, a lot of people are, wonder why they don't put the name of the company in the job description. Is because a lot of these companies like AT&T, Comcast, HSC, and QVC, a lot of these companies don't want customers to know that they have people who are working out of their homes. They want people to have that thought in the back of their mind that these people are working in a call center. So they're not going to be like, oh, okay, in the job description, work from home for Comcast, AT&T, but they'll mention that to you, in the job interview or whatever. And they will tell you, a lot of these companies, you will have to sign non-disclosure agreements. And I tell people this all the time because people ask me what I do for a living, and I have to tell them all the time, I can't disclose to you who I work for because I did sign a non-disclosure agreement. And what a non-disclosure agreement is when you sign this non-disclosure agreement, you cannot get on the internet or anywhere else and discuss how much you make. You can't get on there and discuss the name of the company or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with you being like, giving little vague information like, okay, I work for, a company to where, that sells phones. Or something like that, or a company that sells air conditioners, or a company that sells this. There's nothing wrong with saying that. You can be very vague, but you can't just give specific information about the company that you work for, because that's all part of your non-disclosure agreement. Okay. Next thing is palm trees, mansions, beaches, and bikinis. Okay, I see a lot of times people posting, these lavish ads of people, out sitting outside on the beach and, riding around in their Beamers and, living in their mansions and things like that. Make $1,000 in 2 days, or make $1,000 an hour, or stuff like that. And, they have the little chicks in their bikinis, and they got the dudes with their Beamers and stuff, riding around in the whip in Miami and stuff like that. People get fascinated when they see this lavish luxury lifestyles, and they be like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And that is the main way people end up getting scammed, because you see this lavish lifestyle that other people are faking the funk in. A lot of times you got these people who are out here who actually go and take pictures inside of these model homes, the homes that are up for sale. They'll go in there and they'll take pictures and pretend like this is their home. You got people that actually do this stuff to scam people. So whenever you see all this lavish stuff, there's no reason why a person should have to post these fancy pictures of them riding around in Beamers and, on the beach with bikinis and flashing all this money to advertise a legitimate job. All I'm going to do is if I'm sharing you something legitimate, it's up to you to do your own research. I'm not going to come here flashing money. Hey, I'm making $1 million working from home. I don't have to do that, okay? Not when it's a legitimate work at home job, because the job will speak for itself. But when you got people out there that are scamming people, they will sit there and they will, like I said, flash all these chicks in the bikinis, the dude riding in Beamers, these mansions, and these, fancy lifestyle. And it's more than likely, scammers. They're trying to entice people. It's kind of like kidnappers do. If you get in my car, I'll give you some candy. That type of shit, okay? If you join my situation, you'll be living this lavish lifestyle. No, just do, like I tell people, I cannot stress enough, do your own research. I don't care who's sharing the work at home job with you. I don't care who it is. It only takes a couple of seconds to get on Google and search a company to find out if it's a scam. Now, don't go on Google and search something and see one bad review and automatically assume it's a scam. Let me reiterate. Okay, I might be using that word improperly, but I don't care right now, okay? Let me clarify. If you get on Google and you see a company that has a couple of bad reviews, that does not mean that they are a scam, okay? Let me say this again to be clear. If y'all know I'm working with limited space here, so I had to restart and, delete some stuff off of my recording device. But again, if you see something if you go to Google and you search a company and you just see 1 or 2 bad reviews, that does not mean that that company is a scam. All that means is maybe somebody who worked for them had a bad experience. Maybe they had a trainer or a manager who had an attitude. And, you get a lot of people who are very vindictive when it comes to the internet. They'll go on you know, they'll work for a company and they'll get pissed off maybe because they got fired or something like that. And they'll go on the internet and they'll write a horrible review on the company and make it seem like it's a scam when it's not. People do that stuff all the time when they have a bad experience with the company, or if they got fired or whatever, or if they just didn't get along with somebody, they'll sit there and write a whole bunch of bad reviews online about the company. It's the internet. All you have to do is just continue to do a little bit more research and you will still see that the company is not a scam, and that these just, you know, these handful of people, they just had a bad experience with the company, but the company is still a legitimate company. So like I said, Google is your best friend. Just be careful when you are, you know, applying for these work at home jobs. Again, let's go over it again. If you see work at home in the title and there's no job description or anything like that, nothing, just, you know, work at home, email me. Proceed with caution. Don't mean it's a scam, but just proceed with caution, okay? The next thing, claims no experience necessary, no resume required. Proceed with caution. If you have to pay a fee, 9 times out of 10 it's a scam unless you are being asked to pay for a background check, credit check, or a drug screen, okay? 9 times out of 10. Unbelievable pay. Make $5,000 in 2 hours. Make $5,000 in 2 days. Scam. Okay, no job description. Again, if you got, you know, work at home, email me. No, I wouldn't even worry about clicking on nothing like that. When you got palm trees, mansions, beaches, and bikinis, you got dudes riding around in Beamers, chicks, you know, sitting on the beach in their bikinis. Proceed with caution, okay? Nobody has to sit there and show you this extra lavish luxury lifestyle to be able to convince you to that a company to work for a company or whatever. The job speaks for itself, and that is all I gotta say. Like I said, I'm one of these people, and I'm not trying to, you know, toot my own horn or anything, but I am not benefiting by sharing these work at home jobs with you guys. I just love, like I said, if you guys follow me on my daily vlog channel, I talk about it all the time. I was one of those people who just, you know, I was a real quiet, secluded person. I really didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up or anything like that. And once I got on the internet and I started meeting people, it's like just to know that the small things that I do as far as sharing these work at home jobs, that they actually help people, that makes me feel good. Okay, so I feel like, you know, it really doesn't take a whole lot of time for me to, you know, do a little bit of research and find these work at home jobs. And I feel like, you know, why not share them? It only takes me a second to find the job, copy and paste it to my legitimate work at home job page on Facebook. And before I end this video, I do want to remind you guys to head over to facebook.com/work-at-home-job-queen. That's WAH job queen, but that link will be down in the description box below for those of you who, you know, may not be able to, you know, write it down. Just go and click the link and like the page, because I do post daily job leads, or if not daily, weekly job leads over there on that channel. Okay, also want to encourage you guys, if you are interested in following me around on a daily basis or every other day, head on over to ThickChick Blogs. I do have a daily vlog channel over there, so you guys can go if you just want to get to know who I am and all that stuff. For those of you who are new to this channel, you're just looking for a legitimate work at home job and you're like, oh, okay, she seems pretty cool. I do have a daily vlog channel. You can go on over to ThickChick Blogs and check out that channel and all that good jazz, and go and like the legitimate work at home job page on Facebook, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye. I thought I was done. Girl, I ain't done. Sit back down. I got more to talk about, girl. I got more to talk about. A couple of more seconds. I ain't gonna hold you for very long, but I thought this would be very helpful for me to share in this video as well. I'm gonna give you a couple of websites that you can go to search for work at home scams or anything like that. But again, remember that everything that you see on the internet doesn't mean that it's true, okay? Some people just have bad experiences with companies, and they get online to try to ruin their reputation. So remember that as well. But these are a couple of sites that you can go to. If you think a company is a scam, these are a couple of sites that you can go to do a little bit of research to see if it's a scam or not, okay? ripoffreport.com, Scambusters, webassured.com, scam.com, the National Fraud Information Center, or National Internet Fraud Watch, which is fraud.org, or the Federal Trade Commission, okay? So I just wanted to come and share those sites that you can go and check for work at home scams if you are so intrigued, okay? Now I'm going to end this video. Remember to go over and like the legitimate work at home job page on Facebook. I have it linked down in the description box. Give this video a thumbs up for more of these types of work at home job tip videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for real this time.